All right.
Great. Well, we had a really interesting question come across from Chris, who asks, with so many social media vehicles, how can we decide where is fashionable and where to prioritize? What about the others you didn't mention?
Oh, thanks, Chris. That's a great question. Chris, I think the best way to decide is let's look at your business and your target audience. What types of people are you trying to reach? You know, and so we would kind of start there. And then we start drilling down. Where are they, right? And then we'd really focus there. So that's really where you start. You know, where are the people? Okay, if you don't know where they are, I would say let's go with the biggest. The biggest sites are LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Those are the biggest social media sites out there. So Chris, if you want to send us maybe your target audience, I could give you an example of where you might want to look. But fashionable, like on trend, if you want to look really trendy and hip, yes, you want to start Instagramming. That's going to make you look very modern and hip and current. It's actually kind of fun. You might want to look at a site. You might want to look at Blog Talk Radio is a social media tool. You can actually be a guest on a Blog Talk internet radio show tomorrow, or as an independent, you can actually create your own radio show on Blog Talk Radio and feature guests of your own. So that's another fun, as you say, fashionable place. Or iTunes is kind of fun. But again, if you're looking for, you know, direct, really immediate hits with regards to an audience and a following, make sure you're really working those top three. So it looks as though Chris has his own radio show. That's a great thing. If you want to tell us what it is, we'll give you a shout out. But I think radio is great, and it's a really good way to go. It looks like we have another question.
Yes. The next question that has come in, how do you deal with negative, destructive comments?
Okay, that's a great question. I'm so glad you answered that. You know, it's going to happen from time to time, but honestly, it doesn't happen that much because there's a lot of lawsuits out there because people are, you know, can defame people based on what they write. So it doesn't really happen all that often, but if it does, you know, you just have to take it as constructive criticism, respond, and keep responding. Obviously, if they keep badgering, you know, you can block them. You can also send a note to the provider, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, and tell them that there's someone that's, you know, doing this. But it typically doesn't go that far. So the airlines go through this every day. You know, people are writing negative comments. You know, they're mad because their flight was delayed, the luggage was lost. They're tweeting it out, but they have an entire team that's addressing it online. So I think it's more important to address it and be upfront because it's great PR for your business that you're addressing it. Ask if they can take it offline and if you can connect with them on the phone. But typically, don't think that that's going to happen that often because it really doesn't.
Great. One more question. Where would you recommend I go online in order to stay up to date on these trends since they're changing so regularly? Are there any particular newsletters or sites that have webinars that you would suggest that I subscribe to?
Well, of course, I'm going to suggest that you go to sociallydelivered.com and get my social media report, a video report that I'm starting. And that's at sociallydelivered.com. And you'll see in the middle of the screen, it has the social report. Subscribe to that. But another site out there is mashable.com. That's a great site just to see what's happening in the digital world. But I also like, let's go back to the old-fashioned print magazine, Fast Company. You know, it's a great magazine to kind of keep up, you know, with trends. So I like Fast Company, and I also recommend to people Success Magazine because they talk about things that entrepreneurs and independents are doing. So those are 4 places that at least I'd start. There are obviously many, many, many more.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. And then just one other question. I've heard that if you don't have the time to dedicate to keeping your social networks up to date regularly, it's not even worth having a presence. How do you feel about that?
I agree, because you're not being social. It's almost like sending a robot or a dummy into a networking event that's just going to stand there and not do anything for you, but show that you're there. Or we've all done it where we've gone to a networking event and you see all the registrations and the people's name tag that haven't attended, but their name tags are sitting there with nothing. So I would say if you don't have the time to do it, you know, either you're not going to do it or you outsource it. You outsource it to a company that's going to represent your business and your brand while you're out there, you know, doing what you need to do.
Great. And then how much time would you expect that it would take to keep up a social presence per week?
Okay, yeah, you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be a social media professional to do this, but I would say just to get started, initially I would spend while you're getting started, start at 20 minutes a day. You already have your pages. Log in, do your updates, connect to a few people, acknowledge a few people, log out. Then you're going to go to 40 minutes a day. You're going to go to 20 in the morning, 20 at the end of the day, because your following is going to start building. Then you're going to find you're going to go in the morning, then you're going to log in at noon, check to see what's happening, and then you're going to log in at night as your presence and your influence and that digital clout builds. But I don't ask a lot of people who are just starting. I just say just log in each day, check your messages, share some tips, acknowledge others. It literally should not take more than 20 minutes when you're first starting out.
Great. That seems really doable.
Mm-hmm.
We've had one more question come through from Matthias. Is there a centralized dashboard application you would recommend to help you effectively manage all of these sites?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a lot of people use Hootsuite.com. I mean, I personally don't use it, but a lot of people love Hootsuite.com, so I would check that out. There's certainly others out there, but I would start with that. Check that one out. That one seems to be a good one. And I also said, like I showed you, TweetDeck. I do use TweetDeck to manage my Twitter, which I really like.
And just a follow-up question, how do you spell Hootsuite?
Okay, yes, Hoot, and then Suite, SUITE.com.
Great. And then another question, I'm not sure I quite understand, Chris, logo or photo for your branding. Do you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, Chris, send us a little bit more about your question because we weren't quite clear.
And in the meantime, I'm just going to give you some more information on MBO if you're interested in learning more about our company, what we do. You can follow us on Twitter, as we're talking about now, at MBO Partners. Visit our website, email us at info, and we also have a monthly newsletter that's really great that you could email newsletter at mbopartners.com if you'd like to receive that.
A few more questions coming in. Yeah, this is...
Okay, so to follow up on Chris's question, should we use a personal picture instead of a logo?
Okay. Now, again, it depends on your company. Like MBO uses MBO, which, of course, your logo is perfect. But if you're an independent, I'd use your photo. Okay? All right, so that's that. And I think I saw another question coming in down at the bottom.
As a consultant, which site would you recommend to start with?
Okay, I would say to start with, let's get your LinkedIn working. Let's update your profile. Let's start doing some updates. Let's send some personal notes out to people. Let's start networking and mining LinkedIn. Start joining some groups. So that's going to be your first one.
And what is a good tool for tracking analytics?
There's a lot of them out there, but I like Sprout Social. So it's sproutsocial.com. That's a really good one. Now, there's no one tool that measures all of the sites, unfortunately, but Sprout Social measures your Twitter and your Facebook.
Great. And finally, one more question. Is Facebook advertising worthwhile?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot with our socially delivered clients. So we're seeing them place a lot of strategically placed ads on Facebook. You can also sponsor your updates so that they appear more readily in your prospects' feeds. So, yes, I'm seeing them having pretty good results with that so far.
Great. All right, well, we would just like to thank Jennifer again for being here. This was such a great webinar, and I think it was really informative to everyone who attended, and thank you for attending. Again, we will be sending out the recording early next week, so look for that in your inbox. And thanks for coming. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.